Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of the Nimrod Pod. I am your host, Lou Stump, alongside Chet Liftkid and Joey Donati. Boy, do we have an action-packed episode for you today. Gentlemen, I want to dive into the latest updates on the Jeffrey Epstein operation. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche's interview with Ghislaine Maxwell was released to the public this week, and didn't take long for me to realize that it is an absolute crock of horseshit. As a reminder, Ghislaine Maxwell was found guilty on 5 of 6 federal charges related to her role in Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking operation, including conspiracy to entice minors to travel to engage in illegal sex acts, conspiracy to transport minors with intent to engage in criminal sexual activity, transporting a minor with intent to engage in criminal sexual activity, sex trafficking conspiracy, and last but not least, my favorite part, sex trafficking of a minor. And these are just the charges that she was convicted on. There are mountains of evidence that Epstein's sex trafficking operation was a cover for an even more sinister international blackmail ring used to broker deals between foreign intelligence agencies and corporate interests. So this begs the question, why should we trust Ghislaine Maxwell? Well, according to her, she never witnessed President Trump engage in any inappropriate or illegal behavior, claiming he was always very cordial and very kind to her and praised his extraordinary achievement in becoming the president. She also specifically denied ever seeing Trump in a massage setting or hearing of him doing anything inappropriate with anyone in Epstein's circle in any context. Now, I believe that Trump never did anything inappropriate, but only because his relationship with Epstein has been vetted by every trustworthy voice in the conservative populist movement, like Alex Jones and Roger Stone. Besides, it would be completely against his character. He likes mature, powerful women with big tits and big legs, not children. However, most MAGA influencers saw these posts from Maxwell, took it as the word of God himself, and immediately chalked the Epstein case up to be a hoax and a big misunderstanding. If they read any further past the headline, they would also notice that Maxwell denied any knowledge of blackmail or involvement with foreign intelligence agencies. To quote Miss Maxwell, "There is no list. I'm not aware of any blackmail. I never heard that. I never saw it. Never imagined it." I haven't even mentioned the fact that Trump has the power to pardon Maxwell, and this was her big shot to show him that she will play ball. So why should we trust Ghislaine Maxwell? The answer to the question is we should not trust her. Trump is setting himself up for the ultimate Streisand effect. I'm not saying Trump is guilty of committing any heinous acts related to the Epstein operation. And quite frankly, I am confident he wasn't involved in any crimes himself. Nonetheless, he is clearly covering up for someone or something else that he did himself. Is he covering up for Israel and Mossad? 100%. This is a proven fact. Indisputable. Is he covering up for U.S. intelligence? No shit, most definitely. CIA worked hand in hand with Israel on the Epstein operation and similar blackmail operations. They even convinced Trump that the American economy would tank if evidence of U.S. involvement in the scandal went public. And he agreed to cover it up. But is it more than just that? Yeah, Comey and his daughter sat on and manipulated these files for years. It has been confirmed that the files were stuffed with bogus lies about Melania Trump being a whore that was introduced to Trump by Epstein. It has also been confirmed that there was more nonsense sprinkled in about the 6 Jane Does that Trump allegedly raped, even though these claims were debunked during Trump's first term. So what else could Trump be covering for? Did Trump have relations with Maxwell back in the day? Did one of his sons? I'll tell you what, this seems a lot more plausible than him assaulting children. But there's no evidence of this either. Us patriots here at the Nimrod Pod will follow the truth wherever it takes us. If we're proven wrong and Trump was in fact implicated in the Epstein operation as a pedophile, we will shout it from the rooftops. But until then, we will follow the evidence. And for all of you MAGA normies, liberals, and neocons, the word of the kingpin of one of the most prolific sex trafficking blackmail rings in modern history should mean nothing to any of us. Once again, Trump took the bait. He's setting himself up for a massive Streisand effect. He is giving the deep state and the Democrats all the ammunition they need to have him falsely impeached by selectively releasing unfavorable bits and pieces of the Epstein files, the tampered with files. There's only one way Trump can get out of this mess alive, and that's by releasing everything, every last document. The deep state doesn't want all of the files to be released because they are actually implicated in Epstein's crimes. If Trump releases all available evidence and assigns a task force led by Ed Martin to reopen the investigation, the truth will be known and they will all go down. What are our thoughts, gentlemen?
I like the fact that we brought in Ghislaine Maxwell can't be trusted because from the beginning, whenever she got put in the situation, they're going to take her to the seat. They're going to make her talk. Trump didn't rule out pardoning her. It was clear to me that she had a dog in the fight. She was going to say who was implicated, get all the targets, or maybe not all of them, but a lot of them, and then not say Trump was implicated for the deal. So she clearly would do that if it could benefit her in some way. Other than that, I don't know what Trump could possibly be covering up for. There's definitely it definitely makes sense that the Democrats over the past 10 years have been tampering with the Epstein files to implicate Trump in some way, shape, or form. Obviously, if he dropped the entire list, it would implicate a lot of them as well, like the Clintons and Obama likely. So what I think Trump should do is pull the pin on the suicide vest, basically. Even if he's in the files, even if this stuff is manufactured, even if it's not, who cares? Pull the pin, throw the whole thing out to the public, and then watch the world explode. Because if the last 5 years or the last 2 years or the last year or 6 months have taught me anything, it's that no matter how crazy the news is, everybody is gonna get over it in a few weeks. You know, we get crazier shit happening every single day. People die all the time. People run covert operations all the time. Most people know. Most people know that the Epstein files implicated a lot of the people that are running our country. Most people know it already. So I don't think it would be that bad for him to throw this thing at the just throw the book at it, get everybody who's on the list in prison or on the noose, hang them at the gallows in public. So throw the bomb. It won't hurt the economy that bad.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know what Trump's got up his sleeve. It feels like all we've gotten from him this term is a lot of gaslighting, a whole shit ton of gaslighting. I mean, first you said Ghislaine Maxwell said there is no list. Well, before she got called in, she actually said, I have the list. And obviously we know Trump with the Pambondi, it's going to be on my desk tomorrow, first thing in the morning. Oh, wait, there is no list. It's a hoax. You guys are fucking stupid. It's all gaslighting. And, guys like Cat's Herd and those puppets that when Trump tells them to jump and they say, how high, Dad, those guys are just going through the motions saying whatever. Yes, Daddy. Daddy says, you got it. But not the guys with actual critical thinking skills. That's what the Nimrod pod has. I'm not sure who else has it out there. I know the left doesn't, but try to find it and stay with us here. I don't think we're ever going to see that list. It doesn't matter because we're not going to stop till we do. But the math isn't mathing on this one. We need answers. Not going to stop till we get them.
Totally. And for any of you normies that aren't up to speed, there is no list. This is a cop-out. There is no list of clients that Jeffrey Epstein allegedly managed money for. But there are decades and decades of records of Epstein's business dealings. He was managing the wealth of the most powerful people in the world, Wesley Wexner, just to name one. The wealthiest man in Ohio who has the most expensive house in the state of Ohio. You know who has the second most expensive house? It's Jeffrey Epstein. It's right down the street. Bill Gates, the president of Harvard, Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew. This is just a short list of the people that we know for sure were involved in Epstein's little operation. But these are just the people we know he was involved with. This doesn't include all the other powerful people. Have we even thought about all the major executives and owners of all the banks that control the money system internationally? If one of them goes down, the rest of them go down. And you know what happens? Our economy gets tanked and everyone loses faith in the American system. Well, guess what? We live in a broken ass system that needs to be destroyed. And we have a chance to build something better in its place. So I understand Trump's logic. I am not condoning it in trying to protect America, but this is the wrong move. Transparency is the only way forward, especially when you run on the issue itself. If you're going to make a big deal about it, you have to finish the play. And guess what? If you're not going to finish the play, keep your fucking mouth shut. Quit talking about it. Quit shoving it down my throat. If you just stop talking about it, people would forget. It worked for a couple weeks, actually. But you just keep coming back with more dumbass shit. This isn't how you cover up Trump. You know what? Hire the Nimrods. We will come to DC and we'll teach you how to cover something up. I'll teach you how to cover something up. Like your buddy, like your teammate from college sneaking in your back door in the showers while no one's looking. That's how you cover something up. Close the curtain, Trump. Close the curtain. Be quick and get out of there one at a time. That's how you cover something up. This is preschool. This is elementary.
Completely agree with what you said. I do want to ask a question here for you guys. You guys actually think if they were to release it, it'd be okay for riots and the whole country of America to basically go up in flames?
Yeah, it would. Like I said a couple of episodes ago, while I'm gonna address the original claim, like I said a couple of episodes ago, I'd rather live in a cave. I'd rather hunt my own deer forever. I'd rather be alone forever, have to fuck holes in rocks, than live under the reign of a bunch of evil pedophiles. So I think it would be fine. People got to fight for themselves. I don't think the whole thing would come down, though. That's my point. We hear crazy shit all the time. Half the people in this country already know the deal. They already know. Sure, there would be a laundry list of other people implicated in this. A lot of no names that people don't really have their eyes on right now. There might be a great struggle by the implicated people to clear their names. There would also be half the country that don't believe it. They would say it's fake. They would say it's a lie. They'd say Trump made it up. So I don't think it would really bust this country open like that too bad. So I say throw it out there and we'll know if it's true. A lot of people won't, but we're not going to die.
Yeah, and let's not forget the people that are currently in power are the ones releasing the evidence and exposing the corruption of past regimes, foreign powers, and corporate oligarchs. The people aren't going to revolt against the people that just exposed all this. Even if Trump is somewhat implicated, it has to be cut and dry evidence that he did terrible things. And as far as we know, that doesn't exist. So he's the one releasing all the evidence. He's the one exposing the scumbags across the world, most of which are not still in power. And it will change the train of thought of the American public. But it's not going to cause them to launch a revolution. I mean, we locked American people in their houses for 4 years and no one did shit. We all know the story of Epstein. The evidence is there. If you dig deep enough and crawl past all the barriers, you can see exactly what the man did and who was involved. This isn't going to be anything new. This is just going to be confirmation of what is public knowledge. So no, I do not think the country will go down in flames if these files get released. That doesn't make sense to me. It needs to happen.
Absolutely. But it's patronizing. The longer we go without the longer we go without the release, the longer we go hearing sweet nothings every couple of weeks, a new story where, oh, it's fake. Oh, there's no list. Oh, there is a list. Oh, I'm on it. They should just start owning it, at this point. Say, I'm on it. What are you gonna do about it? I'm on the list. Patronizing. I have more patronizing stuff. A lot of people have been arguing recently about American workers and H-1B visas. And on the Department of Labor in Washington, D.C., Trump had some people put up a poster of the 250th anniversary of American Workers First. So we have Trump on the left, American flag in the middle, and Teddy Roosevelt on the right. And the words say American Workers First. American people would expect this to mean they're going to fight for the citizens of America who are graduating college, who are graduating high school, going to trade school, to be able to find a job. You know, if we're going to say we have a labor shortage and we're going to say at the same time that companies can't hire anybody, and somebody's bullshitting. So I think this is patronizing because while they talk the talk here, while JD Vance and Trump will call out universities and companies doing layoffs and then outsourcing or hiring H-1Bs, they can't put up this messaging if they're not going to change that policy wise. And people know that, this is a mainstream thing now. Everybody's complaining about the tech workers, the H-1Bs, and we got to see action rather than just simple gestures from this administration. The more gestures we get, the more patronizing it becomes, the more the original team, the 2016 supporters, the people that have the vision of the golden age of America, they are going to get more and more pissed off. We are going to get more and more pissed off. So we need less words, more action. Talk to Donald Trump, tag him on X, tag JD Vance, say, this is what's going on the ground. We need you guys to do something.
Yeah, well, Trump tells us that he's putting American workers first, and then him and his buddy Howie Lutnick, aka Epstein's neighbor of 20 years, go on national television and say, you know what, we're going to import 600,000 Chinese students to our universities. We need them. The universities would go under if we didn't have these 600,000 Chinese students. Well, that makes no fucking sense, Don and Howie. You want to know why? Because college tuition is so grossly overpriced. And the American people, our youth, the students, get absolutely nothing out of the education. So they grossly overstate the value of tuition. They pocket the money. They then get funding from NGOs and governmental departments to run bullshit, phony research and conduct bullshit, phony studies that are just used as a money laundering technique to wash money for the deep state. So don't tell me that these universities are going to go under. We need to slash tuition prices. We need to punish, we need to pull funding from universities that overcharge American children to get a decent education and a piece of paper so that they can get a real job when they become an adult. That is a bullshit excuse, and I'm offended by that, Donald Trump and Howie Lutnick. Do you think I'm stupid? Look at me in the eyes. Do you think I'm funny? Like a clown? Do I amuse you? I must!
Yeah, case in point, this is not a global economic zone. No matter how much Elon Musk or Vivek Ramaswamy want you to think that you need to be competing with the entire world when it comes to college admissions or getting hired on a company, you don't. This is America. These are American companies. We can hire Americans. They're not any better coming from overseas. It's not magic soil over there that makes people geniuses. There's plenty of people here that can do the jobs, and they're just not willing to pay. So more regulation, less regulation, I don't know. I don't know. But we need to stop giving money to people that do this stuff. We need to stop subsidizing it. That's one. I think that'll solve a lot of our problems, especially with tuition prices. The demand goes down. Everybody knows the international students are the ones shelling out double tuition because their families are rich and they can afford it. So we could solve a lot of problems here. We could definitely make some ground.
I feel like this whole thing is just allowing spies into our country to prop up these universities and, turn our kids and everybody that goes to school into American hating communists.
Yeah, they're definitely spies. Just a real quick thing. We had a guy that worked at Walmart, Walmart executive, fired after taking $30,000 of kickbacks every single day from Indian staffing agencies, funneling jobs to Indian nationals while shutting out American workers and abruptly locking out 1,200 contractors. So this is kind of the same. It's off the same vine that we've been seeing recently. People are laying off 9,000 American workers and then they're outsourcing or they're applying for 12,000 H-1B visas. So here's another example of why we have to stop this. The executives, they're so nepotistic, they'll do anything to hire their own people. And we've been told that's against the rules, right? We can't have a white company and hire only white people. But they want to have an Indian company and hire only Indians. So that's what they're doing here. Why aren't the people outraged about this? I'll let you guys decide on that one. But good thing this guy got fired. I think this is treason, actually. I think he needs to be sent to jail or shipped back to New Delhi, or they could just ship him to Canada. Same thing. Another story from the Indian side where they're nepotistic and they're trying to shut out American workers. Somebody's got to crack down on it. You know, we can't keep going like this.
Walmart keeps finding themselves in similar sticky situations. I wonder if they're genuinely weeding out the bad actors or if these are just fall guys for their operations once they get exposed. It's hard to say, but I will say at least they're exposing it and at least they're doing something about their mistakes. I would wonder these Indian contractors, they have to be offshore technical resources. And this is a major problem, not just at Walmart, but all across corporate America. Every major American company contracts key business capabilities to Indians that are calling in out of India and working overnight. There is no organization. And at the end of the day, you end up spending more money cleaning up these Indians' mistakes than hiring in-house. Hiring people that actually know your business, have a strong business acumen. And that's a shame.
I think it's interesting, Lou. I think it's fucking interesting because I see it with my own eyes. I see it with my own eyes. And anybody that hasn't, I'm jealous. If you haven't had to work across the phone with an Indian person and they only want to talk at 10 p.m., then I'm jealous of you because everybody on my side knows the story. They say, yeah, we had a team get cut and they shipped it all off to overseas. Or we had a team get cut and they brought them over here. They brought H-1Bs that would work for half the market rate over here. They'll work long hours, they'll work hard, but they're not special. We don't have a lack of talent. We have a lack of corporations willing to pay their employees and a lack of oversight. I'm going full-blown liberal here. We need more regulation.
It seems like the only thing both sides of the aisle want to talk about is Islam versus Judaism. It's always Israel this, Palestine that, Iran this, but nothing about America. Well, here's the problem. All of our money, the American tax dollar, is going to fund these forever wars. Why do we do this? This is against the Constitution. This is against everything our founding fathers built, everything that we stand for as a nation. Don't take it from me. Take it from the first president of the United States, George Washington. In his farewell address, Washington said, "Our true policy is to steer clear of permanent alliances with any portion of the foreign world." Washington warned us of the dangers of foreign alliances and how they would drag us into unnecessary conflict. He cautioned us of the military-industrial complex long before it even had a name. He told us that foreign entanglements would use the guise of false patriotism to manipulate innocent people into supporting foreign wars. When John Adams became president, America got into a quasi-war with France, and Washington agreed to take command of the American military once again, and he remained the commander of the military till the day he died. Clearly, this had an impact on Washington. Why do countless so-called America First patriots support the United States entanglements with Ukraine and Israel? What would General George say about our entanglements with Ukraine and Israel? Is this what America was founded upon? Would our founding fathers be proud, Nimrods?
No, no, they would not. There's a lot of things they wouldn't be proud of. I think George knew so well to call out the American military industrial complex before it happened because people have been financing wars for a lot longer than we have. It's been all of human history. The bankers have been financing the wars. They've been selling the weapons to both sides. It's not a new thing. So he was right to call it out. We are wrong to still fucking be doing it. I think part of the reason, besides any sort of blackmail or lobbying, I think part of the reason we send so much aid to Israel is because the aid goes over in form of credit that they spend at our military companies like Lockheed Martin and Raytheon. So lots of angles, lots of angles. But I do like the fact that we're getting back to our roots here. 1776 mode, George Washington, John Adams. We gotta get back to it because we're straying too far away. People are getting forced to want to push to the other side of the aisle. You know, they want to stray from the Constitution in the other direction. And whether that's right or not, I don't know. I don't think so. You know, I don't think so. I think we got to get back to our roots as a constitutional independent country and then move forward.
We have strayed so far from our roots. It's disgusting. And we don't have time to fight for basic liberties because we have to focus on stopping the globalists from chopping our sons' penises off. We have to focus on making sure that the people that run our government aren't blackmailed by Jeffrey Epstein and a giant child sex trafficking ring. We have to worry about a surveillance state listening to every single fucking word we say on every device in our houses and everything we do on the internet, being exposed to the most sinister minds in the world. We can't even focus on basic liberties. We're losing our religious rights. White people are being massively suppressed all over the world, especially here in the United States. We're not doing anything about it. Our voices are being silenced. The media is being manipulated. Our tax dollar is being sent to other foreign countries while American people are dying of chronic disease, homelessness, addiction, you name it. I'm kind of disgusted about where we're at right now. And every single MAGA influencer says, stop complaining. Stop complaining about the orange man and just be happy that we got him. Of course, he's better than evil satanic pedophiles, but I'm not going to just settle for that. We're at a pivotal point in the Great Awakening. You know, we spent the entire past 3 decades at about a 1% level of awakeness. And in the past 4 years, in the past 12 months, we have gone to 99% awakeness. And there's a threshold past 100 that we haven't even reached. The world is moving at lightning speed, faster than it ever has in modern history, at least recorded history. We have a chance to make a difference. Instead of just settling and letting Trump do whatever he wants and letting him sleepwalk into another disaster, we have to be vocal. Because when we're vocal, he listens because he needs us. He needs his base on his side. No other presidents listen. And no other presidents are no other administrations have been transparent with the American people. Trump has had more interviews in his first 200 or so days in office than the past 5 presidents in their entire terms combined. He's transparent and he listens to us when we talk, and he defends our free speech. He defends our free speech, and we need to take advantage of that. We need to take advantage of that. I know he called us traitors for talking about Epstein, but he didn't silence us, so we need to keep going. He listened. He crumbled. It's our job to keep going.
I just want to bring up a quick point for those of you who don't know. Netanyahu was on Patrick Bet-David's podcast, and Patrick brought up a topic where he asked how Netanyahu felt about the American taxpayers and if he needed more money and support. And Netanyahu said, I think it's a partnership that will go on for a long, long time, as far as I'm concerned, for all time. So basically, Israel plans to take our money till he says stop, or for whenever. And I love how he says partnership, because Israel doesn't do anything for us. This whole thing, this whole American First movement is horseshit. And what you said, Lou, on the problems, the real problems internally that we have in our country. Why aren't we focusing more on those instead of just shoving our fucking tax dollars to fucking Israel?
100%, Joey. Why do we need Israel? He calls it a partnership. What do they do for us? In my eyes, they're nothing but a muzzle, preventing the United States from unlocking a key partnership with the Middle East and unleashing the true power and wealth of that region. Every single Arabic leader is obsessed with Trump. Every single Arabic leader is conservative in one way or another. And they want to do business with America. Saudi Arabia, UAE, these countries are at the cutting edge of AI, entertainment industry, and they want to partner with us. But Israel's standing in the way. Yet where are our investments going? They're going to Israel. What is Israel doing with our money? Not what we want them to. Last I checked, they were doing target practice at the only Catholic church in Gaza. Bullseye, I hit the cross. That fucking makes me want to jump on a plane with a machete and walk into every single member of the Netanyahu administration's houses and duel them to the death. I will bring a separate machete so that they can fight back, because I'm a man. And I'm not just going to blow up a bunch of their kids and women, because I'm a man. I'm not just going to blow up the fucking last standing hospital in Gaza and say it was an accident. How about that, Benjamin Netanyahu? While you're on doing your little press tour, you oops-a-daisies blew up the last hospital that had a bunch of journalists and humanitarian aid volunteers and women and children and the elderly. Oops, I didn't mean to. Oh my gosh, we have like the latest and greatest technology that the United States gives us intelligence for, and it could probably hit an ant off of my forehead without damaging any other piece of my body. But they couldn't avoid this massive hospital in the middle of Gaza. And you wonder why the rest of the world hates you, Bibi. You wonder why the rest of the world has a problem with Israel. And what do when everyone attacks Israel? You make it about your religion. You claim to be Jewish. You claim to be the Jew that controls everything Jewish, and anyone that is Jewish is automatically associated with you, therefore tying the Jewish religion to all the horrific hate crimes that you're committing and making everybody hate Jewish people. If you say anti-Semitic one more time, I'm sick of it, Bibi. I'm sick of it. Give me my money back.
That's a good point, Lou. That's a great point. So Israel, whenever people criticize them, we all know this. They pull the anti-Semitism card. It's the same thing as whenever black people get in trouble, they pull the racism card. Whenever women are out of order, they pull the misogyny card. So it's not working anymore. The world is breaking down this structure that they built that's sort of a protection dome from any criticism. It's sort of like an iron dome from criticism. But now that we can see them taking pot shots at churches, knocking off the cross, we can see them bombing the last hospital in Gaza. We know what their true intentions are. Israel they sold their allyship to the United States through a, uh, a Lutheran or Calvinist form of Christianity, where people see the Israel that exists as a border on a map and a group of people living in it today as the one in the Bible, which is false, first of all. But they also sell it as they're standing there in the way, preventing Islam from encroaching on the West. And while I think that's a valiant thing to do, we've had problems with Islam in the West before. We almost lost all of Spain to Islam until the Reconquista. But it's not necessary anymore. It's not necessary. We have the ability to do that from the other side of the world. We don't need people in their backyard throwing bombs everywhere because that's just going to piss them off more. And like you said, Lou, there's some very valuable partnerships to be had in the Middle East, which we are sort of taking advantage of, but we definitely could be taking more advantage of without the constant pressure of bombs and the constant pressure of Greater Israel. They also say that they're they're preventing the encroachment of Islam on the West. But what do they do after they bomb these people? They send them all to the West. They send all the Muslims to the UK. They send all the Palestinians. They want to send all the Palestinians to the United States just so they can have the land, just so they can develop it and make it into a tourist trap. So the jig's up, really. The cat's out of the bag, Netanyahu. We all know the truth now. You can't convince us that it's wrong. And the anti-Semitism card is running out. It's about to decline, and it already is declining. So it's over, buddy. You're gonna have to face the consequences of your actions. You're going to Nuremberg too with all the COVID people, and then we're gonna see what happens.
Speaking of the military industrial complex, Howie Lutnick and Donald Trump made a big announcement this week that the United States has taken 9.99% ownership of the company Intel. At first glance, this immediately seems like communism. Thomas Massie has been extremely vocal about it. We've seen a massive pushback from the so-called woke right about how this strays away from capitalism, and this is a betrayal of 1776. I tend to agree. I don't think it is right for us to be. I don't think it is right for the federal government to take ownership in publicly traded companies. However, the United States used to have government-owned defense companies during wartime, and Intel makes key semiconductors and chips that are instrumental for national security. And you could argue that since the United States is one of their biggest customers, it does make sense for them to partner for national security purposes. It's okay when Trump does it, but what happens when someone less trustworthy gets in there? It becomes a slippery slope. Where do you guys stand here? Is this a, 5D chess move by Trump? Is this good for our country? Or are we slipping into a dangerous hellhole of communism and socialism?
So initially my reaction was, this is commies, this is communist. We can't be doing this. And then I thought about the national security aspect. I say, oh, that's interesting. Maybe it is right. And then I saw people saying this always happens. If we're encroaching on wartime, like we're actively sort of involved in a few wars right now, maybe not directly, but still actively involved, then it might be good to nationalize some of these things. I still don't think it's a good idea. You know, what's the purpose of taking stock for the government? How does that accomplish this goal any better than giving subsidies to the company? How does this accomplish this goal any better than giving contracts to the company? If this company has contracts with the government, they can develop themselves. We don't need to be staking government hands into companies. So I think I don't know if it's the worst thing that's ever happened, but I definitely don't think it's the right way to go about it.
100%. Like this sets a precedent for future administrations that I think is dangerous. Like, why wouldn't they just give us a lump sum that we can do something with now? Now we are tied to their success, and American lawmakers and key decision makers are now going to do what's best for Intel because it's also best for us. Like this goes right back to that foreign entanglement thing with General George Washington. Why would we entangle ourselves with a multinational corporation that has immense power? It seems like a massive misstep. We need to decentralize the system of power while maintaining our hegemony. Every great empire falls because they bit off more than they could chew. And we just keep trying to expand, take over, more wars, more military industrial complex funding. And we're going to get over our skis. China and Russia are going to have a key alliance, so they're going to take us down. So how about we hold the line? We are the world hegemon. We should be happy with what we have. And we should start being a little more isolationist when it comes to war and foreign policy. That's what I think. So, yes, we should have great partnerships with massive companies like Intel. We should have great partnerships with Russia and the EU. Mutually beneficial partnerships, not servitude, where we just give them everything they want and we get nothing in return.
Agreed. Partnerships are good. Servitude is bad. We could partner with fucking anybody. We could partner with China. We could. We could if we wanted to. So why don't we go after things the right way? People are always trying to get a leg up on the United States. That's because we don't have the attention span to care. I have something about the UK. It's about more censorship. So back in the day, the UK went after, they passed a referendum in their government to be able to spy on all of their citizens' cell phone activity. So everything they do on their phone. They say it's a counterterrorism thing. I mean, it's obvious that it's just the thought police. But JD Vance actually made a huge impact in a decision that just went through sometime in the recent past. So the UK gave Apple two options. It says, give us worldwide access to every user's data or pay us $10 million a day. Obviously, this is draconian. I think the UK is completely ridiculous at this point. It's almost completely lost. I've lost complete hope for it at any point. And Apple was having a tough time winning this legal battle. So Vance went head to head with the UK and fought for free speech and fought for the right to privacy on the world stage. Because if Apple gave access to all of the users' data to the UK, that would include the American people. And so MI6, British intelligence, would have the ability to spy on everybody over here. So great job by JD Vance. This is the type of action I like to see from this administration. Actually, this might be my favorite thing so far that they've done. They're low on illegal immigration. They're not deporting them enough. From what we hear, we're not getting any progress on Epstein. But here we are with Vance going over there and defending free speech on the world stage. This is how you inspire a revolution in the UK. This is how you inspire people standing up for their rights all over the world. Because we all know all these crown states where the UK used to be a colony, Canada, Australia, they're all crazy. They're all ridiculous. What do you guys think? I pissed off a lot of Europeans today by saying America's the last hope. A lot of people said we need to work together. I think the Brits are too far gone. I think Canadians are too far gone. They're all jealous, they all have envy, and they wish they were America.
The UK is a hellhole, and the people have been suppressed. You think about the UK, you think of all these powerful revolutions. They were a historically very aggressive people. They were historically rebellious people. They were the same people that migrated to America, started 13 colonies, and took down the crown. These are the same people that won Scottish independence from the crown. There's a video going around this week of these two Scottish girls who were being harassed by several Islamic immigrants. They were catcalling them and apparently even started attacking one of them. The one girl saw what was happening and came back with an axe and a knife and told these good for nothing onion heads to back off. It is so symbolic to the current state of the UK that these poor little girls had to fight for themselves because no man would, no government would, no police officer would. Apparently these Islamic invaders partner with the police to rape women, commit crimes, rob and steal. That's why the police don't do anything. Starmer, on the other hand, is also enacting all these laws that punishes law enforcement for upholding law and order and protecting its people. This girl is going to go down as a modern day William Wallace, not because she is a fierce war hero, but because of this picture right here. She has guts. She has balls, and she's symbolic. She stands for something. She stands for the roots of the UK people, an aggressive people that will not be tamed. I think the people of the UK have had enough. They actually kick you out of bars in the UK if you wear the King George flag, that being the Crusader flag. You know why? Because every establishment is now owned by a foreign invader, an Islamist, some other type of scumbag bullshit that isn't Christian or holy. God bless these girls.
Goddamn right. Hey, but how about this for a cherry on top of my point about all my points about the UK? How about this? After these girls defended themselves from all these rapey people, they charged them. They charged them with the crime of having a bladed weapon, which is mind-blowing to me. I can't stand the UK anymore.
It's going to be so sweet when the UK people fight back. There's a massive bubble. It's about to burst. And the government's about to feel the full wrath of populism. Populist leader Tommy Robinson is actually organizing an event called the Unite the Kingdom Rally, scheduled for September 13th, where they will revolt against the invasion and revolt against faulty immigration policy and free speech violations like no other. And apparently, Alex Jones might be going. He's been invited by Tommy. He has some family issues going on right now, but he thinks he's just going to send it regardless. Can you imagine if jacked Alex Jones shows up in a public arena for the first time ever in the UK, walking arm in arm with the angriest mob in modern history? When the UK bubble busts, I think it will have a massive trickle-down effect in America. And the people will finally have the kahunas to stand up for themselves, actually dig their feet in the ground, and take a stance against the deep state.
I hope so, Lou. I certainly hope so. And I'd love to see that. You know, there's a lot of discourse about Tommy Robinson, whether he's a Zionist or whatever. But I don't care. We have a common enemy, the deep state.
But I just want to talk about Trump's new executive order, basically slapping a year in jail for burning the American flag. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure everyone in this podcast can agree that burning the flag makes our blood boil. Okay, I think it's a slap in the face for every soldier or person that has risked their lives to fight for this country, right? So, but if we turn back the clock, did a little digging on this. In 1989, with Texas versus Johnson, Congress came to a conclusion that, like it or not, flag burning is freedom of speech. And I think this order feels like a stretch, and it's opening the door to mess with our First Amendment rights. And I don't fuck with that, and I know you guys don't fuck with that. America is freedom. It's what I think it stands for. Not jailing people for saying or doing stupid and offensive shit. Again, I hate the burning of the flag, but I feel like we can protect our flag in ways that aren't chipping away at our Constitution. What do you guys think?
100%, Joe. 100%. It's important to protect our First Amendment rights. even if it comes to something like burning the American flag, it's a terrible thing to do. You definitely lose the optics war when you do it, but just let that work itself out. If it's good to burn it, then it's good, but it's not, and people hate it. So anybody that does it is losing any battle that they signed up for. One thing that I want to point out is whenever they try and make these strides to combat anti-Americanism, they always work anti-Semitism in on the back end. And what do we call anti-Semitism now? Fucking everything. Everything is anti-Semitic, especially if you criticize what Israel is doing, especially if you don't want to send your money to them, especially if you don't want to buy their shitty rated bonds and the state of Florida makes you. So we got to stop this stuff where it starts. We got to nip it in the butt right now.
And I just want to clear something up. This order does not outright criminalize flag burning. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled in 1989 in Texas versus Johnson that flag burning is protected as symbolic speech under the First Amendment. But instead, it seeks to prosecute flag desecration when it involves other illegal activities or falls outside of constitutional protections. Essentially, this executive order is not a federal law that says if you burn the flag, you go to jail for a year. I keep seeing this is incorrect. What it says is essentially federal government will pull funding for states that do not uphold flag burning laws in each of their jurisdictions. Regardless, Texas versus Johnson does protect flag burning as a symbolic speech under the First Amendment. And I will not allow any free speech violations, even when it goes against things that I believe in, even when the speech is speech that I don't like. All speech must be free for us to truly have free speech.
Damn right. Damn right, Lou.
Appreciate you clearing that up.
Well, no one realizes that. Alex Jones, all he had to do was open the White House website and read the executive order. Nobody realized that it's not outright banning and jailing people from burning flags. Regardless, it's stupid. Like this is he was trolling the left. He was trolling the deep state. He was trolling
Mexicans,
our enemies. Sure, but regardless, he shouldn't have done that. It sends the wrong message, and no one's smart enough to dig deep enough to understand what it really is. And he's not being transparent. He's making it look like he's going to throw our asses in jail for burning a flag, and that's wrong. Shame on you, Trump. Fans of the Nimrod Pod. This weekend, we will be filming the first ever live in-person episode of the Nimrod Pod here in FEMA Region 6. I'm sick and tired of political influencers only talking about Israel. As bad as they are, we're going to spend an episode talking about the absolutely devastating blows that the Trump administration has delivered to the deep state, including Ed Martin's deep state indictments and RFK's battle against the DOJ to identify and expose the root cause of autism. And when we're not talking about that, we're going to talk about what really happened in the Las Vegas shooting at the Jason Aldean concert. And we're going to talk about the Anthony Weiner laptop, Pizzagate, the truth behind the Clinton crime family. And we're going to dive deep into the great things that are happening in the Maha movement. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Nimrod Pod. I'm Lou Stump, alongside Joe Donati and Chet Lifkit, signing off. God bless you. God bless America. And the answer to 1984 is 1776. God bless.